Today's event or today's training is on social media basics for entrepreneurs. So what I'm going to give you with this one is how you can use social media to help your business. Now, in this one, what the content is going to be on how you can manage and what you can do with your social media to how to successfully manage all of your social media marketing as an entrepreneur, either if you're doing it yourself or if you have a team or if you're hiring someone else outside. Whichever way that you plan on doing it, this is the basics of how you should be doing your social media marketing to get the best results. Now, there are different angles to doing social media, how you can do it and what you should be doing it. So today I won't be talking a lot about what you can be doing. I mean, I'm not going to go into details on content or competitions or promotions or activities, because that's another massive area by itself. Today I will be covering how you should get about doing it in a very strategic and a systematic way. So first of all, we are going to run through how to devise a social media strategy. Okay, so from my understanding of about at least 10 years of experience, I think that I can break this down to about 6 different steps. The first one is you need to have an objective, right, and a goal. And usually in marketing, what we do is we have a SMART goals, right? So, and then we need to have some matrices to measure whether we are actually going in the direction of reaching our goals or our objectives. And once we have this in place, we need to find out, before we go into the actual content and what we are going to do on social media, we need to go into who's our audience or who is our customer. Like, as an entrepreneur, as a startup owner, you need to first figure out who your customer is. Actually, this is not just for entrepreneurs. Whether you're doing anything to the public, like whether you're having a YouTube channel or whether you're having a Facebook page, whether you're doing jokes or makeup or business, whatever you do, you need to know who your target audience is. You should never do anything for everyone, right? And just as well as you're trying to figure out who your target audience is, you need to find out who your competition is. Like, who else is giving the same solutions as you are to the same target audience, right? And then you need to figure out what your content is going to be. And once you put everything into place, you need to have a system to monitor, report, and analyze this entire thing. So the easiest way to do this month by month, right? So you have a strategy in place and, work something out for a month, and you do kind of monitor during the month, like maybe on a week by week basis. Let's say when you have time every weekend or every Saturday, you need to just check how things are going. Like if you're running ads, of course, you need to sometimes check daily in the first few days. And then you're going to mostly weekly, and then finally do a report of the month. And every month you can compare your results. Okay, let's go into details. Okay, when it comes to objectives, one of the important things is that you need to establish your objectives and goals in a way you can measure your return on investment, or popularly known as ROI, right? So as I said earlier, your goals or your objectives have to be SMART, SMRT. So in marketing terms, what you call this is S for specific. So you need to have specific objectives, right? And they have to be measurable. That's the M. And for the A, they have to be attainable. You can't have unrealistic objectives or unrealistic goals. They have to be attainable, right? Within the specific time period that you want. That's the T, the last one, right? So, and the R is for relevant. So it has to be relevant to your business, relevant to your activities that you're planning on doing. So After you decide on your objectives or your goals, you need to track these different goals for different channels, if you may, right? Or different activities, if you may, right? And you need to align your social media goals with your overall marketing strategy. This is very important, especially if at some point when you're planning on doing offline marketing or offline advertising, let's say on a TV or radio ad or a newspaper ad or flyers or posters, any offline thing or a hoarding, you need to align this with your social media marketing. You can't do one thing offline and another thing online. It's just a waste of money. You need to align both together. And you need to align the rest of your company's marketing strategy with your social media strategy. You can't do two things. Um, and also you need to align that with your budgets, right? Your marketing budgets. And when you start off, at least have 3 different objectives or goals, and each one make sure that they are SMRT or SMART objectives. So that's on objectives. Next, we move on to matrices. With matrices, what you need to do is you need to track meaningful matrices, right? So, for example, it's really easy to get bogged down to measuring how many likes you're getting on your Facebook page or how many followers you have on your Twitter or Instagram or something. That may be an interesting measurement, but what's more important is things like reach or clicks or engagement or web conversions or leads. These are the more important matrices that you need to measure while you're checking on the how many likes you get on your page or the post or hearts or whatever, right? Then we go into the audience, right, or your customer. So one thing that is really useful that you should, if you can, have the time to do would be to create a customer persona or an audience persona, right? So basically what you do is you think, okay, if I can have anyone in the world as my customer, who is my ideal customer? So what you do is you put down a name for that customer. You find out, you think, okay, is this a man or a woman? Where does he or she live? What would they be doing? Are they working? Are they married? Are they single? Are they how old they are? So you just think, you just think who would be your ideal customer and draw up a personality, right? And then you will find their pain points and make sure that that's the pain point that you're going to be addressing it with your product or service. You can also do this the other way around by doing surveys. So either you start from one end or the other end, or whichever end you do, either you do a survey, you have, once you decide on this customer personality, you can have those characteristics as questions of your survey, and you put this into your, maybe if you have a list or some fans, you can put this onto their fans and find out how many of them match up with your personality. And maybe you can either change your persona or you can change your target audience, whichever is, works well. And another one would be that, as I said, to gather real world data by doing different surveys. So apart from doing this kind of survey, you can do several other surveys with different, reaching out to different audiences, different type of people on different social networks to gather more information about your audience, and then you can perfect this customer persona. You don't, having a major or a main customer persona is always very useful, but you can always have like a sub personalities of 2 secondary, tertiary audiences as well. Then we go into competition. So research on your competition, right? Try using the details of your products or your services or your business or your industry and find out who are the competition that reaches out to the same target audience. If they're reaching out to a completely different target audience, maybe geographically or age-wise or any other interest, that might not be of a huge concern to you at this point, but try to first of all figure out who your competitors are who are reaching out to the same target audience, at least your primary target audience. So you can do research online. You can use tools to do competitive analysis, and you can do some social listening, check around, ask people, and figure out who your competition can be. Now we move on to content. Now with content, you need to have a proper content strategy that actually speaks to your audience and their pain points, right? And I will go into content in detail in another in the next slide, or you might not see my slides, but yeah. So with competition, the main few points I will just mention. So you need to have a strategy. You need to have proper content creation with a content mix, and the best and the easiest way is to do content scheduling. Of course, Facebook lets you schedule very easily, like any type of content, and there are other tools that you can use for scheduling as well. And then I will give you details about the process. Hang on, did we miss something on the reach? 1 second. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's move on to content in detail. So first thing, once you figure out your objectives, your audience, you need to plan a proper content strategy and list key content types. So this content has to align with your marketing message, and it has to deliver value to your customer, and it has to be engaging material. Engaging meaning it has to get a reaction from your customer. So if the content relates to your customer, especially to their pain points, then this content will definitely get engagement for you, right? And it's no point in getting, the whole thing about, you might remember putting cat pictures and cat videos, and this is engaging content because a lot of people love cats, right? Or dogs, whichever, right? But the thing is, it doesn't align with your marketing objectives or your social media objectives. So that's why back in the day when people used to do it, it's not a good thing. It'll get reactions from people, but it doesn't do anything for your business, right? Nothing for your business. So avoid using engaging content that doesn't relate to your business objectives or your marketing or your anything to do with your business, right? Then you need it's best if you have a content calendar. So what I do is I would put down, take an Excel sheet and have the days of the month and different social media channels listed out, and I will once I work out a content strategy, I will put those content strategy topics into the days. Like, okay, the first, this is what I'm going to do. Second, this is what I do, like that. I will just roughly put them into a calendar, right? And let's say if you have a product launch or some activity that's happening, so you need to have a pre-launch thing, you need to have a during launch activity, and then a post-launch. So all of that, and then if you have a teaser campaign or something like, hey guys, we are launching something brand new, like that kind of thing. So all of that, it's very useful if you put it into proper content calendar, right? It's so easy to get one done on an Excel sheet. So once you have the basic calendar structure, then you go into details. So then you need to think about your content mix. Okay, let's say teaser post. Is it going to be a image? Is it going to be a GIF or a GIF? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be a live video? Like somebody coming as, hey guys, in 5 days we're launching something like this, stay tuned. So depending on your channel and your audience and your what you're actually going to be addressing in this issue, in this point, you can decide what kind of content type that it can be, right? And then once you figure out your content types, then you define your calendar, your social media calendar. Okay, in the teaser post, day 1 I'm doing this video, day 2 I'm doing a live, day 3 is an image thing, like that. You just put a little bit more details, and you can break it down to different channels. On Facebook I'm doing this, on page stories I'm doing this, on my personal channel I'm doing this, on my Instagram I'm doing this, like that. You can just put each one of the content topics, content details into a calendar date of that in the calendar. Once you do that, the easiest way to do is to schedule weekly content, either weekly or 2-3 days. The easiest day is to sit down on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday when you really want to focus on your work. Schedule an entire week's content. So this means you need to have all your content ready beforehand. So this will really help you plan ahead and make sure your content is ready. Right. So once all your content is ready, you schedule them onto either whichever your channels that you are posting them on. And when you schedule or when you're posting live, whichever way you're doing it, you need to always be conscious of what time you're posting, on what days you're posting. So there are different arguments on these are the best days, these are the best times, and all of that, globally and locally. So the best way I would say is, okay, read some of those articles on what are the best timings and days, but always experiment with your own audience. Let's say when you're doing it on the calendar, have the specific day and the time. Don't forget the time that you're posting. When you're scheduling it, okay, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 1 p.m., 1:30 p.m., whatever, just put the time. So after 1 week of posting, whichever timing that you want to experiment on, try a different timing in the next week. And then compare the engagement and how many people you reached, what sort of a difference is there. Then because your audience may be specific. If you have like a very young audience, their social media habits might be different from a working, more older, like a 20s, 30s kind of people, and that will be different from parents, that will be different from seniors, that will be different from CEOs, right? So based on your audience, there might be slight differences in timing. So you need to test it out yourself with the timing with your audience. And then of course, you need to keep monitoring this. You need to respond to comments and inbox messages. Yeah, so that's basically on content. Moving on to monitoring, reporting, and analysis. So monitoring, reporting, and analysis, I would say use the inbuilt monitoring and reporting systems that you may have on each of the channels. Now almost every channel, every major channel has its own monitoring or insights. Facebook insights are very versatile, so you just use it. If not, I can actually recommend a few tools such as Hootsuite, Sprout Social, and even Social Bakers. I haven't actually checked out Social Bakers in a while now, but that used to be a really good one. But Hootsuite and Sprout Social, I've continued to use this. Pretty versatile. So you can try them. I think they have trials. I mean, if you're okay, I mean, if you're starting out, don't use them. They cost money. Try to keep your startup lean using the native free to use tools. And if you actually search online, there are lots of free to use third-party tools as well. Just do a Google search. I mean, it's always, you will find something new. There might be some really good tools that might be just brand new, who are just starting up as well. Sometimes these tools give really good offers, like they initial, if they're doing beta testing, if you get in on them, you can get something free for lifetime. Apart from that, what you need to do is you need to monitor regularly. As I said, the best would be to use it on a weekly as well as a monthly basis. And then if you're having, even if you don't have to present a report, you should have a report, like a monthly report for your own reference, so you can just gauge and see like how have you progressed, are you reaching your objectives, right? When you have like an objective, let's say a 3-month objective or a 6-month objective, check your report and see whether you're actually going there. And once you complete these 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, see if you have actually reached your goal. If you have or exceeded, all the very best. I mean, it's excellent. Then you have to have new goals and new objectives. But if you haven't, then you need to backtrack and see on a month to month basis, see where you have gone wrong, what have you done, what have you not done, and then you learn from those mistakes, as all entrepreneurs should, and you need to reassess, readjust your new goals. Moving on to more reporting and analysis, here are some of the matrices that you can actually measure. Of course, you need to, I mean, even though I would call likes a fancy thing, it's not really what I would call a fancy is like you don't have to advertise to millions of people to get like 100,000 likes on your page, right? Do not do non-targeted blanket advertising on Facebook or any other platform to get just massive number of followers on your page or your any of your account, right? That is such a no-no. What I would say is, yes, you need to have some credibility as you start. So maybe target for about 5,000 or even 10,000 likes initially as you start your business. Like, I mean, when you create your Facebook page and just start out, have that sort of goal. Start with about 5,000 people on your to get likes or followers, which depending on your platform, and then go to 10,000, right? So I would say take about a month to reach out to 5,000 maybe, and then take about 2 or 3 months to reach 10,000. But that's about it. I would recommend to do the like ads. And even when you're doing that, don't do blanket advertising. Remember, I told you to have your customer persona. When you're doing the Facebook, what do you call, targeting, use those details, interests, age groups, demographics, all of that in your ad to reach out to the exact audience that you want to get. Don't do blanket like advertising at all. So when you're monitoring, yes, do check on your fan on or follower growth. Check out your reach and impression, and you may or may not know the difference between reach and impression. Reach is exactly how many individuals that you're reaching, and impressions is how many times they have seen your post or whatever. And then identify optimal times of engagement. So initially, if you can, once you get an audience of about 5,000 people of your actual targeted audience, then you can experiment with your timing and figure out. So you need to keep experimenting with your timing, like at least once a quarter, to make sure that your new audiences are all aligned with your activities. Then of course you can check the engagement on likes and reactions, comments, shares, tagging, and all of these other different types of engagement. Then you can figure out whether your content actually speaks to your audience. Is it engaging to your audience? Does your audience have any kind of a response to it? Does it make sense to them? And of course, comments. You need to address comments. One thing people are really worried about is negative comments, right? Don't delete negative comments unless they're like completely absurd, like, I mean, they're going on profanity or completely irrelevant subject. Then yes, you can delete them, but try to make sure you have a sort of a content or rather house rules for your page, where you let your people know, like, I mean, if you're, I mean, do not engage with completely irrelevant thing. Let's say you're talking on, let's say, transport, just example, and if somebody is talking about politics that has zero relevance to your topic, then just say, look guys, I mean, don't talk about it. I mean, continuously talking about something completely irrelevant, say, please don't talk about it because it has no relevance to it. right? And definitely profanity and harassment and all of this is a definite no-no. Go ahead and delete it. It's not an issue because your true audience obviously understands that this is ridiculous, right? And then also if you have negative comments on your business, address them as soon as you can, right? Address them, but take it offline, right? Tell them we'll first of all apologize. Customer is king, queen, and everything else, right? So apologize and say we're really sorry for your experience. We'd like to know more details, and we would really like to help you out with this. If it's an obvious one and you know that is true, then you can immediately address it with whatever appropriate comment, and check their contact details. Tell them to inbox you details, or ask them to inbox their phone number or something. Call them up, chat them on your inbox, and figure out the details and solve it. Then you convert them. This is like an age-old thing, right? Then moving on to other things, like you need to constantly check on your audience demographics, right? Whether it's your ad or just a regular social media post analytics, right? You need to always keep a check on your audience. Is your audience the one that you want, right? Always keep a check on them. And also things like link click rates, if you are running a website, web conversions, web visits, all of that. And okay. Where are we right now? We are at 10:30, perfect timing. Okay. So now that we're done with all of that, let's go into a slightly different topic on how to create a really successful social media promotion or activity for your page or your social media account. So I'm actually focusing more on Facebook as well as other. So I would say everyone needs to have a Facebook page, right? Unless you are on a certain specific, even still, I would say everyone should have a Facebook page. The reason being, the biggest audience-wise, the biggest social network in the country or in the world is Facebook. So if you're going to reach out to anyone and everyone, you need to be on Facebook. And Facebook business pages are so versatile. And when I talk about business pages, I think you know already that you should not create a profile page for your business, right? Because it has no facilities that you can use except for reaching out to people personally, which is such a no-no on Facebook, right? You have the chance of having it deleted, right? So have a Facebook page. Apart from that, have any other social network that relates to your audience and relates to your business. So let's move on to how to create and run a successful social media promotion or a campaign. So social media campaigns can, I would like to break it down, like I said earlier, before, during, and after. And when it comes to before, you can add another little extra as a teaser stage, right? So what you can do is you can create a calendar just like your regular month-on-month social media calendar. Either you can incorporate into the same thing, or you can create a separate calendar where you have different phases, like the teaser phase, the before, a pre-activity phase, during activity, whether the activity is in 1 day or 1 hour or 3 days or whatever the time, during activity, and post activity, right? And this part is a little small. I'm splitting the screen between the video and my presentation. So each of these periods is fundamental to your success, because you will have a proper strategy for each of these phases. So even these strategies, you need to have a separate campaign objective or campaign goals, and these campaign objectives also have to be SMART goals, right? And another thing that might be useful is if your campaign is like a huge campaign, assemble a small team. Like if you have a team of people who are doing your regular social media, you can assign a few, one or two people from that team. Or if you are doing your regular social media by yourself, you can have uh, a small team from your marketing team or your startup team to help you with this particular campaign. You need support for a versatile campaign, like let's say if it's a product launch or something like that, you will need help. So then you sit down with your team and plan the campaign, put it into your calendar, right? Select the most effective platform. So if your main platform is Facebook and you have Instagram and you have Twitter and you have a blog, right? You decide whether you want to run this campaign on all these platforms or just one platform. Let's say you're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and blog, and you want to run an Instagram campaign. Maybe your objective is to increase your Instagram follower numbers, right? Then what you do is you have the campaign on Instagram only, but you talk about it on the other platforms as well. You don't run the campaign on the other platform, just run the campaign on Instagram, but you do talk about on the other platforms as well, right? So once you plan the campaign, you select the most effective platform for the campaign, you establish your calendar activities, and then you schedule, you execute, you monitor, you analyze and report. The same thing as what I said in the initial and in the regular social media, right? So the important thing to run is actually the planning part. You need to properly plan the pre, during, and after, right? Um, moving on to ads. So I'm going to touch a little bit on Facebook ads because I think this is really useful for a lot of people. Just a second. Okay, right. Sorry about that. So moving on. So I'm going to, you obviously know there are lots of advertising platforms out there, but I would like to concentrate today on Facebook ads because that's one of the easiest and the most effective advertising platforms out there. Google ads are really amazing, but you need to have a little bit of, there's a bit of a learning curve with Google ads. I mean, Google ads are good when you're reaching out to people who are ready to buy, right? So it's really effective. But there's a bit of a learning curve and a budget alignment. One of the easiest for startups would be Facebook ads, right? So I know a lot of you would be running like ads and boost ads, right? So today, I'm going to tell you, don't do boost ads. Do not do boost ads because boost ad, the targeting with boost ad is very limited, right? And it's I mean, at this point, maybe in future Facebook might be having a more versatile thing, but then it's so easy to do. Go to your ad manager and do a boost ad, which is called the engagement ad, and on the engagement ad you can run the same thing as boost ads, right? So can I know a bit of a feedback from you? How many of you run boost ads? Can I have some comments? Hey guys, can you hear me? I would like to know how many of you run the click boost button and run boost ads. Don't be shy. A lot of people do it. I do it sometimes myself when I'm lazy, right? But just let me know how many of you run boost ads. Like maybe just type boost in comment. Maybe. Could you please? Nobody? Okay. How many of you run? How many of you go to Ad Manager and run Facebook ads? Just type Ad Manager. Hello. Are you guys hearing me, or are you guys not there? Okay, it's a bit slow. Right, gotcha. No problem. So, okay, so what you do is you go to your Facebook profile, your regular profile, right? You click the home button, or if you're already on the home button, you have the you're on home page, right? On the right hand side, there's a column of like news feed, blah 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 blah, and somewhere there would be a place that says Ad Manager, right? Click on that, and they will ask you to decide between. If it's the first time you're using the Ad Manager, I think there's a bit of a thing where just say yes or no to some questions, and then they will ask you, okay, do you want the quick one or do you want the detailed one, something like that. So click on the detailed one, and you will get a screen that has three different columns with different ad types. You're gonna be like, oh my god, what is this? Okay, it's very easy actually. So you will have first you will have awareness, and under awareness you will have brand awareness and reach, and then you have a long list for consideration where you have traffic, engagement, installs, video views, lead generation, and messages. And then you have the last one for conversion that has conversion itself, catalog sales, and store visits. So these are the different variety of Facebook ad types that Facebook offers you. Okay, just a second, I'm getting a call. 1 minute. Okay. So what do you use? Which type of ad do you use? When you're new to your business and you want to reach out to a lot of people, right? Pick the reach ads under awareness. Okay, that gives you a huge reach for a very small budget. I'm currently running a couple of reach ads to some of my clients. Like for example, for about $5, you can reach out to about 15,000 people, roughly, right? It's huge reach, right? Brand awareness is good if you're it also gives you a really good reach, but what it does, the difference between brand awareness ads and reach ads are, brand awareness is also a reach ad type of thing or an awareness ad type of thing, but what it does, it has a slightly lesser reach. So if you don't know your audience really well, you can use the brand awareness ad because it actually lets you find out people who might be interested in your brand or what you're trying to sell. But if you know your exact target audience and you want to reach more people, then use the reach ad. If you're not 100% sure of your ad targeting, then use the brand awareness ads. But both will actually help you reach a massive number of people compared to like ads or engagement ads. Do not use engagement ads or the boost button if you want to reach out to a lot of people, right? They're the same thing. Engagement ad and the boost ad is the same thing. What it does is Facebook will charge you money to get reactions from people, not to reach people, right? So reach ads and brand awareness ads will, Facebook is charging you money to reach the maximum number of people. Let's say, for example, with $5, you should be able to reach between 10 to 15,000 if you're really lucky, about 20,000 people. But I'm assuming it will be about 15,000 people. But if you use the same amount of money on an engagement ad, you probably will reach about, I don't know, 1,000 people, 1,500, something like that. So you see the huge difference, right? Once you reach out to a lot of people, then you can have specific ads where that goes under consideration. So if you want to use web traffic ads, like you want to, this actually is very useful if you're running ads on a marketing funnel. So you can use conversion ads or traffic ads to your website or the landing page. Then under engagement, there are lots of types. All the like ads and engagement ads and event engagement ads are all under engagement ads. So if you're running an event, if you want to boost your event on like a Facebook event, then the engagement ad that runs on events is really useful, right? And of course, page like ads is page like ads. There's no talk about it. And also you have, if your main product is an app and what you want to get is app installs, you can run the app install ads. If you're running a video as an ad, you can please use the video views ad if you want to get videos. The good thing about videos is that you can actually find out people who are really engaging with your video. Let's say if your video is about 1 minute long, right? When you're running a secondary ad, you can actually check the number of people who would have watched your video and decide on the ad, the next ad that you want to run. And then you have lead generation. Lead generation is of course really good for lead generation, but I would say better than lead generation is that how if you can run a marketing funnel ad with a landing page, that would be the best. And also messenger ads. Messenger ad is a whole different ball game with what you call messenger bots and chat bots and all of that. Finally, the conversion ads. These are for actual conversions from people to convert you on doing something on your website. So you have to have the Facebook pixel installed, and for catalog sales, you have to have that. There's a separate setup for all the conversion ads. You need to have the pixel setting. Catalog sales, you need to have catalog selling thing installed. Then store visit, you have to have the location thing installed. So there's a bit of an installation process for the last column, but they're very, very targeted, right? But as an entrepreneur who's new to business or a startup owner, I would totally recommend you guys to run brand awareness and reach ads. And then if you want traffic ads, engagement ad, depending on your requirement, video views, and if you're with that, if you have an app, definitely app installs. So the first two columns is what I would recommend you based on what you want to do. Right? If you want to reach people, don't do engagement. If you want to engage with people, don't do reach. Right? You can experiment if you have budgets and see what might work better for you. But general rule is that. Okay. So there are lots of things I can tell you about Facebook ad, but this would be the basic thing. And the most important thing, if you're new to, if your business is new, don't run the last side of your marketing channel, marketing funnel. Don't start with, you're starting with a cold audience, right? Just reach out to them, give your message several times before you actually push your product or service on them, right? That's the number one rule. Okay, moving on. If you are interested, if you are looking to hire a social media team, or if you want to get a small agency, if you have the funds, that if you want to get a small agency to run your social media, here are a few tips. It's not necessary. If you're running on a shoestring budget, you and your friend can do this. But it's always good to have a team who knows what they're doing, right? If you're hiring or if you're getting another party to do this, here are some of the main talents or types of people you would need in this team. One, the ideal social media team, as I would call it, right? One would be, the first one is the marketer. So the marketer, this could be you yourself, right? The marketer is the sort of the head who overlooks the entire thing. So who aligns your marketing campaigns or marketing objectives to your social media, right? And that is the person who's the strategist who aligns everything together. Then you need to have a designer, right? If you have an amazing designer, it could be graphics, it could be videos, it could be anything. A designer, you can do wonders, right? So if you're spending on anything, if you're going to be the marketer, and the other rules that I'm going to talk about, if you can hire just one designer, do that. If you're good at designing, all the better, right? So first one is the marketer, second one is the designer, Third one is the writer. You being the marketer, if you can write, all the best. That's great. But if you're not so good with words, then, and if you have the capacity, find the person from your team who writes really well in whichever the language you want, right? I mean, if your content, if your audience is more English speaking, or they get the message better with the English language, use English. If they're better with Sinhala or Tamil, use Tamil, Sinhala, Tamil. Or you can do a mix, right? So get or find out who the writer is among your team, or get a writer from outside, maybe like a small project or something. Then you need someone to be the analyst. It could be you, could be a team member. Have someone to do the analysis. And then have someone for your social customer care, who what I would call the listener and the responder, right? Sometimes you can be the marketer, designer, everything, and then you don't have the time to sit down and reply to all these comments that come in all the time, right? So you could have someone else, have some just rules set up. Okay, if someone says this, say this, someone says this, say this, some basic things. And then if they know your business really well, if it's someone from your own team, it's better because they would know what to tell. So marketer, designer, writer, analyst, and listener, responder. So these are the 5 main people, types of roles that I would say people would need in an ideal social media team. It could be all in one person, could be you. It could be 2 people sharing these roles. It could be an entire team of people, right? And it could be in-house or it can be outsourced. Your choice. Another important thing is budgets. Okay, how do you allocate budgets and resources? So the first thing you need to allocate budgets and resources is for the management of the overall thing. So if you're let's say if you're paying your team for doing this work as a side project, you could do that. Or if you're paying an outsider, you could do that, right? If not, you can scrap this. It might be there are other things that you need to pay for. For example, software or tools that you might be using. If you are, right, then creatives. If you're paying, let's say, image sites that sell images, right? If you don't have a great graphic designer, but you buy images or buy small videos like Fiverr or somewhere else, and then stock photos and things like that. So, or you're paying someone to do your creatives, that is something. Then definitely your advertising. Then for your campaigns and promotions, let's say if you're giving away free gifts or discounts, this also goes into your budget, right? And then for your analysis and reporting, if you need to spend on this, if you're using some high profile tools, then yes, you can use this. So yeah, so finally, that's I think the last one on our list, allocating budgets. So I would say management, if you need that, software and tools for your creatives or getting designs done, advertising, campaigns and promotions, and analysis and reporting. So that's about the entire course or the today's webinar, social media marketing for entrepreneurs. Now, if you have questions, you can ask. I think this is a little too slow, so bear with me when you're sending questions. Let me close this window. All right. Let's wait for questions. If you have, okay, let's see what we already have. Someone says, hi Nelufer. Very limited knowledge, but I have run boosted. Yeah, it's not a crime. I do that when I'm lazy, right? So if you can find out, it's not easy to difficult to find ad manager on your homepage. You haven't had any leads. Of course, you're not going to get any leads from boosting, because boosting is the same as engagement ads. So you're very unlikely to, unless what you're offering is really a great one, it's highly unlikely you will get any leads. Use either the lead ads or just run any type like a reach ad or a traffic ad for your landing page. Um, Hi, Ivan or Ivan, I don't know how to pronounce it. Suggestion. Yes. Yes, a great suggestion, Ivan. I am not, I'm never sure how to pronounce that name. Ivan or Ivan? I think Ivan, right? Ivan is more Russian. Sorry. um, Roshan. Hi, Roshan. So you use Boost ads, yeah. So try the engagement ad, because what it lets you do is you can really target your audience. You can create audiences. You can have lookalike audiences. You can reuse those audiences. You can create an audience and save. So audience meaning your target audience that you design at the beginning of your strategy. If you were there from the beginning, so you need to first of all figure out your audience. So when you figure out your audience, that's what you're going to use for the advertising. I don't see any questions yet. Ah, Ivan, yes. Right. So are there any questions? We have about 5-10 minutes. Here's your chance. Ask all the crazy questions you want. Or is this feed really slow that I don't see any questions? Do you have any questions on strategy or advertising or budgets? Go ahead and ask. Let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, can I know if you're able to, if you can go right now and find the ad manager from your homepage? If you don't see it, any resources for templates you could recommend? Templates, what sort of templates are you talking about? Is it what do you, okay, in general, if you want to look for templates, right, just type in, just go to Google search, type in the kind of template that you want, say whatever template, one of the, and then you could go, you could type file type colon PDF, and another search you can do the same thing, file type colon Excel or whatever the Excel notation thing. I can't remember what I use, right? Then you will be, or just say it like template, whatever type and template, and you'll get a lot of templates. I do this all the time when I want to find like, you know, I'm not good at designing things, right? So what I do is I search for whatever I want on Google all the time, including templates. And I actually have a Google Drive folder with full of templates, like it's called template folder. All the templates I find, all the good stuff, I save it there. Don't ask me to share. Okay. Do you have any? Hi, Chris. Do you have any what? Have experience with Messenger chat marketing? Okay, I have tried out. I'm yet to actually fully use it for my brand or any of my clients, but Messenger ads, I have activated receiving Messenger ads. I get a lot of Messenger ads from, you know, I keep taking courses from other marketers overseas, right? So, so I, every day, like every time I log into my, let me see if I can show you. Every time I log into my Messenger, I have a chat message from some kind of, okay, so I don't know if I should be showing this. So one, two, three, four, fifth one, fifth um, fifth message is an ad, okay, from Amy Porterfield. So every day I get an ad because I'm actually looking for whatever these, because these are guys I follow. These are people I follow, and I really want to know what their latest course is and what they're teaching. So yeah, try the message. There's a separate so um, under that second column of advertising, the last one is messenger ads. You can run messenger ads and chat. Actually, chat marketing, from what I hear, is very useful because you end up checking it, right? You sometimes don't see emails, but you always check your chat. So chat ads and chat marketing can be very useful. Chatbot is something completely different, which you can install on your page, and that's I mean, if you don't have a lot of time, if you want to, that actually uh, helps you do your chat marketing, because when people say get started, they're actually signing up for your chat. So you can later on run like an entire marketing message for people who have signed up for your chatbot. Okay. Niduksha, hi Niduksha. What do you think about messenger ads? Okay, is it working for Sri Lankan market or best way to lead? Okay, like I said, I haven't really experimented a lot with messenger ads, but what I see is there is a lot of viewing on it, and I use it. I mean, I like receiving messenger ads because that's like the fastest way of getting the latest things from the people I follow on Facebook. What else? Any other questions? Mm. Right, we're on 11 o'clock, but I can take 5-10 minutes if you guys have any more questions, but post it soon. So I think there is a bit of a lag with questions. So let's see. Cami, can you type a question? Let's see how bad is the lag or the delay in the comments, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for Cami to type test and see how bad the delay is. I'm still waiting. Wow. Okay, I get it. Right. Thank you, Cami. Okay, so there's about a minute delay. Can you give more information about how to do analytics? Okay. Okay, Nidishka, analytics. Okay. So basically what you want to do is, I don't know if you were there in the beginning of the webinar. So I asked you guys, I mentioned that you need to have, let me get that slide back again, hold on. There are some matrices that you need to be aware of or you need to measure in order to make sure that you are reaching your social media objectives or goals, right? So some of the important matrices, hold on, this is slow. Hold on. Some of the more important matrices can be like okay, so when it comes to monitoring, reporting, analysis, so your fan or follower count or your likes or something like that. So that is something that you can tell yourself that people are interested. But like I said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be in millions. and do not run blanket ads to get more and more likes for no reason, right? But if you're running your ads and if you're getting organic likes, then that's the best. Okay, so in these terms, then your fan count or a follow count is an important metric. So you can measure these from your native social media account. If it's Facebook, you can go to Insights. Instagram, you can go to Insights. So every channel has insights or analytics built in. So what you need to do is you need to at least once a month, you need to make a report of these numbers so that you can keep a count and see how they change. So one of these measurements could be your fan or follow count. Another one could be your reach, how many people you're reaching, and another one could be your impressions, that is how many times are you reaching these people. Why this is important is, like they say, like you need to reach you need to talk to a person 8 times before they buy your product, right? So either it could be your email, it could be your chat message, it could be your ad, it could be a webinar like this, it could be an in-person presentation, it could be a meeting and talking. So reach have an impression on a person 8 times before they're convinced that they can or would buy your product or service, right? So this is why impressions are important. So that way you can measure how many times have you reached out to a certain person, right? Then you need to measure the optimal times of engagement. So depending on what time you have done your posting on your social channel, you can figure out, okay, the week that you did a 8 a.m. post, this is the engagement level. The week that you did a 2 p.m. post, this is the engagement. So you can compare. Then of course you can check on mentions and shares and audience demographics and click-through rates, and of course different things like conversions, app downloads, event attendances, things like that, right? So all of these things you can measure or monitor from your respective social media channel, and then create a report. You could just do a PowerPoint, if a slide thing. You could do a like a Word document thing, or you can do an Excel sheet, or whichever way. Have one type of way. Okay, this. Okay, this is your page. This is your thing. Whatever, and then this is your reach. This is your have a list of things. So every month, when you're doing your measurements, your analysis, you fill in these blanks with the numbers and any other details, and so you have a record every month. It will be awesome if you can check this out, at least like a few metrics on a weekly basis, but like you need to do a detailed analysis every month. And then you keep these records to make sure that you reach your objectives. Now, when I mentioned objectives, I told you it has to be timely. So just measure this. So let's say it's a 3-month campaign. After the 3 months, you check your reports and see, okay, did you reach your goals? Did you how well you reached? Was there any lag? All of that. Cami has a question. Is it video the most engaging type of content in Sri Lanka? I would say video is very engaging for all any market, because people like to see videos, right? And in video, you can measure the engagement by the duration that you have watched, right? And in Insights, you can see, okay, how many people watched your first 6 seconds, how many people watched up to 50% of your video, how many people watched up to 75%. You can check these and you can actually measure. It really also depends on the type of video or what content you're sharing. If it's a boring video and you keep sharing like some random things, nobody's gonna bother watching, right? So it largely depends on what you're giving out to your customers through your video. A video is definitely engaging because it's a viewing thing. People like to see things, right? Yeah, so that. Um, you're welcome, Nirishka. So we're on 11:08. Do we have any questions or shall we wrap it up and call it a day? What do you guys say? Okay, I will give you 1 minute and at 11:10